What's up, everybody? It's your boy Justin Rodriguez, your favorite lender here at Neighborhood Loans. And you already know we got our Cafecito on deck. It's actually not Cafecito this time, guys. We got a little whiskey in here. But I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching again. Welcome back to Cafecito Talks. We have another exciting episode, guys. I'm actually super excited. We're in a different setting. Shout out to Rocky Patel on Harlem, right by Harlem and Irving Mall. If you guys haven't stopped by, feel free to check it out, guys. It's absolutely amazing. As you can see behind us, it's beautiful. Smoke a little cigar, have a little whiskey. Doesn't really get any better than that. But I have a super exciting guest that's here today, guys. He's actually my mentor. I know I've spoken about him in my previous videos. I have kind of hinted at him. Not a lot of people know him outside in the social media realm because he doesn't have any social media. So that's the reason for that. But I'm super excited to introduce my mentor, my uncle, Dwight Marroquin, who is actually he's the regional sales manager of our company. He has built our area to produce $400 million of real estate production a year. And not only that, but when he was actually producing himself, he actually produced 215 units in a year. Helped 215 families get into a home. And that's like almost unheard of, guys. So if you guys wanted to get anything out of this, he has a lot of wisdom, a lot of just knowledge that not a lot of people have in the industry. So shout out to Dwight. And I'm going to let him just introduce himself because he is a machine himself. So, Dwight, it's an honor to be here with you.
Thank you, Justin. You know, this is, you just feel special. I don't do this kind of stuff for anybody. I don't have any social media, like you said. And although I do think it's important in this day and age in this market, especially in with the young people nowadays, you're not relevant unless you have social media. So kudos to you for keeping this going. I'm just an old dog that can't be taught new tricks. I just, people don't want to see me in a video anyway. So I guess I'm giving the market a sense of relief, I guess, But yeah, I've been in the business for over 20 years, Justin. And when I started, it was night and day from what it is today. Social media wasn't really a thing, and it wasn't, relevancy wasn't necessary with social media. It was old school door knocking, open houses, face to face. It was a different animal back then, and it made me who I am today. It's a different aspect of doing business. Before it was, I feel now is a little more transactional, but you can still combine both. I feel, and if you're done the right way. But I'm still stuck in the '80s, man. I still listen to music from the '80s for crying out loud. So I can't seem to change and add social media. Maybe one day I will, by doing these things little by little, kind of, open up and try different tactics and different avenues. But until I find the need, and trust me, this market is pushing me to do it, I have to become a little more exposed to social media. So thank you for actually making me do this because I definitely need it. So
No problem. I mean, look, let me tell you guys, he, again, has taught me everything I know. I would not be anywhere near where I'm at if it wasn't for him. So I want to say thank you for, number one, joining me and just kind of spitting knowledge to the youth out there that look outside into the real estate market and they think it's, sunshine and daisies until you're actually in it. I'm 23 with gray hairs already, so figure that. But
it is a tough market, Justin. And one thing I give you kudos to that is different from a lot of the youth is that you listen. I've always said this. You listen to about 75% of the things I tell you, but it's enough for you to succeed. I think that the real estate industry is very difficult. It's feast or famine. And right now, as you can see, it's famine time, right? The good thing about you is you don't know the bad times. So you put your head down and you do what you're told, you do what you're taught, and because you don't know nothing else, you do it. The problem with a lot of old school guys like myself is that we don't adjust. We're stuck in our ways, and we've seen the bad. That's why I don't understand why a lot of the older guys that have been around for so long, which is reasons why you guys, if you look at my top produced lead generators, are the young guys, the guys like yourself, like, the Marcos of the world as well, where you guys have done the things that most the older guys don't do and helps you generate leads, right? So that's the name of the game. We're lead generators. That's exactly what we do. And things that you're doing outside of, calling our referral partners, thinking outside the box, doing the things you did this morning, those are the kind of things that are going to differentiate you from the rest. And I think that's why a lot of, I was able to open the door for you, but you've done a lot more in the first 2 years in the business than I did. I mean, when I first got into this industry, shout out to Marty Maher and Jim Eberly who helped me in my career. We always need a mentor, right? And they were mine. And I went from. It took me a couple years to even do a deal. I got what's called pipped. It was I like to call it as pimp, but I went from pip to pimp, right? But pip, it was something that at the time at Wells Fargo, it was an acronym for Performance Improvement Plan. So basically a write-up because of lack of production. And I took that as a motivator to show them that I could do this job. And I used that to fuel my desire to show everyone that I could do it. And instead of soaking and being pissed because I wasn't producing, I took that and I used that as fuel to do the things that I needed to do. And hence, I am where I am because of that. So a lot of the guys that know me from the Wells Fargo days, they went, you went from pip to pimp, because it definitely allowed me to do the things that I needed to do. And I started seeing the fruits of my labor. And it's a tough industry to be successful in. But if you do the right things over and repetition and doing what, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So you've done a lot more in the first couple of years than I did in the first 4 years of this. I didn't break my 20 million until probably my 4th year in the business. Mm-hmm. So you're leap and bounds ahead of me. So your future is very bright, my friend, very bright.
I appreciate that. And, I think the main thing that I want people to kind of see is, this morning I actually had that little event that I was telling you about. I was just kind of giving away free coffees just to a community because I like to give back to the community. So from 9 to 11, I had given away free coffees. But the one thing I love about those events is you meet so many different personalities. And one of the first people that walked in was like, oh, don't buy me coffee. And I'm like, why? She's like, I'm a realtor and I'm not going to give you any business, but I'm an old school realtor. And then she's like, I don't do social media. I don't do that. Like, she was like, I'm so against social media. And I'm like, dude, what's up with these like older folks? Like, what like so against with social media? But I guess what I want to know is, how did you generate leads? Because you're like the OG of it. You got 215 units in a year without any social media, without exposing yourself. How did you build that?
It was relationship building. It was 99% relationship building. It was going to my closings. It was, calling my referral partners. It was taking them out for drinks, taking them out for dinners. It was going out to their open houses, even though I got to a point where I didn't need to. It was that. It was our relationship building. And it was meeting my clients face to face. One of the things that technology allows you to do is become more efficient because you don't have to meet your clients face to face, right? But that also takes away from the relationship building. I've always said, meeting people is the most important part of the transaction. And there's something to be said about technology that allows you to talk to multiple people at once, right? And you can touch a lot of people with the technology, but it also takes away from being able to connect. It's something to be said when you meet someone face to face, that connection you have with a home buyer, and being able to talk to them and have given them the vision and making them feel like that you're there with them throughout the transaction, no matter how things may go sideways, that you're going to be there for them. Once you meet them face to face, it makes a big difference.
Right.
And technology allows you to not do that. And COVID obviously propelled technology, and with Zoom and everything else. But I think people now are using it as an excuse. For me, that makes you transactional. And once you become a transactional, there's a lot of loan officers out there that are transactional. You can look down the list of top producing LOs that are doing 500, 600, 700 units, but you never talk to the LO, right? So do you want to be the transactional where you have to continue to get the lead every, year after year, new generation, new leads coming in? And I don't call them, as you know, I don't call them realtors anymore. I don't call them referral partners. Every one of my transactions have been based on relationships.
Right.
And it's because I met them face to face. Now I'm doing my original customer's kids loan, right? Which is huge when you look at it, that the original client had a family and now they're trusting you with their family. It's something to be said about building those kind of relationships. The only thing I will tell you, it takes time. I know, I get it, and it's hard because time is one thing that you can't duplicate. I've told everyone you have to manage your time wisely because that's the one thing that we all have the same amount of, right? But it's something to be said. For me, I meet one client and I prefer to meet them face to face because it builds that relationship. And once you build that relationship with your client, everything else becomes a lot easier to accomplish, right? Getting referrals from that client, explaining them the documents, explaining them the numbers. Once you build that trust, it's not a transaction anymore. You're not I don't like to consider myself a commodity. Commodities are those lenders that send people to their websites and do those kind of things. And it's okay. It works for some people. I'm not that type of loan officer. If you're looking at me as a commodity and you just rate, I'm not the best choice. I'm the kind of guy you call at 7 o'clock on a Sunday, and I'm going to pick up and answer your questions. That's how I built my business, and that's how I continue to remain relevant in this industry without having social media. If I didn't have those kind of things that I'm doing and those the practices that I've done, I would become the Sears Montgomery Wards of the mortgage industry. But it's those things that I still continue to do that allows me to still be relevant in this industry. Otherwise, yeah, I would be like the next guy. Without using the new tools and technology and social media and everything else, if you don't find a niche that helps you become successful or stay relevant, there is no reason for you to do it, right? So you got to find something that your niche. You got to find something that is going to continue to keep you moving forward. Otherwise, you're going to fall back. Like right now, I can tell you these are the hard times, and if you didn't make any of these changes 6 months ago, I'm sure there a lot of people are struggling right now.
Right. And let me give some context to everybody that's watching that might not know anything about the mortgage industry or just real estate in general. So overall, all we're speaking upon is our jobs. Okay, there's a real estate agent that helps buy, sell homes, and our jobs is to help finance the home. So one thing that we need to do is get people through the door. So there's two different eras in that. And I think right now we're in like a social media area. So with the social media area, it's like kind of building relationships, but using social media, kind of building that tactic, right? His era is more so just consumer direct, going straight door to door, whatever they had to do, whatever realtors and everybody had to do, they made sure that they got it done in whatever fashion that they did. But for you kind of getting in the industry, I think it's super important to kind of base your timeline, because I think you're the number one reason of growth. When you speak, it's wisdom and knowledge. You have many years of experience, and it's like people gravitate towards you solely because you have that wisdom. That it's kind of scary. Like sometimes I'll be like, he'll say, hey, if you do this, this is what's gonna happen. And I'm like, okay, dude, like chill. Like you can't tell the future, but then it plans out like that, and it just comes through wisdom. And so I think it's super important to touch base on your timeline and what developed you into the man that you are outside of mortgages. And obviously you went from making a certain amount of income to gambling to everything lined up to where you're at right now. And I want you to kind of shine light on that, because everyone has a story, and I think your story is freaking amazing. So
Yeah, I think I send a monthly email to all my team, as you know. I like to call myself the Dwight and Delilah, right? And it's not because I'm smart. It's because I've been through it. I think a lot of times, as I've spoken to you personally and the team, it's not that I'm smart. It's just that I've been through it already. Markets are cyclical. Everything's a cycle. Whether markets are up and down, everything comes back around. Everything repeats itself. History, as we know, repeats itself. And I'm using what I've learned. Everything I've learned from the past, my experiences have made me who I am today, right? And which is why I'm able to predict and do the things that I've done. But more than anything else, to answer your question, is mentorship, right? I surround yourself with the right people. There's a saying, soar with eagles. There's reasons why you see pigeons flying with eagles, right? You surround yourself with the right people. I like to surround myself with smart people. And at the time, it was, Marty and Jim Eberly, Marty Maher and Jim Eberly. They were ahead of me. But it comes to your career when you feel like, okay, what else can you teach me? And I learned enough from them, and I got to where I needed to be. And I've gotten to a point in my career where I felt a void. I wanted to I was helping a lot of people at the time already, people that came from other companies. Back in 2008, 2009, Wells Fargo was like the mecca of at the time I felt, of the mortgage industry. We were one of the top lenders, banking. We were mortgage bankers, true bankers, but it was a different animal with Wells. We didn't have revolving doors with like Chase and Bank of America do. So it was kind of like, we had the things that I used to go through with banking versus now. It was night and day. And now I look back, I'm like, I can't even believe how successful I was with those kind of guidelines and everything else. Where it's like, now I look back, I'm like, man, I could have made myself my life a lot easier. But that's what I knew. And once I made the change, I realized that I could only learn so much from them. My first mentor, Marty, left. He went to a different company. Jim left, and they left me there. And at that point, I made a decision not to go to either way. I made a decision to seek leadership. I saw a lack of Latino leaders in our industry, and I made a decision to focus. I remember Jim telling me, Dwight, if you have to care about everybody else about yourself before you become, being a leader in the mortgage industry. As you know, once you're a top salesperson, I can't really tell you much. You're bringing in, you're paying the lights, you're paying the rent. It's a very, very difficult to lead a top producing LO. So respect and all that stuff needs to be established. So I learned from the best and created things to help me become respected, right? There's two ways to get respected. You can force respect or you can earn respect. And the best way to get it is to earn it. And having that work ethic and showing them that you can produce, and maybe not the high level that you used to, and still be able to lead the team was important. And then the leadership, right? I came to this company, Neighborhood Loans, and I then stepped into the next role of my career. And Tony and Reno have taught me tremendously. So I got to a point where I've learned enough, and now I'm going into a leadership role. And as owners of the company, they took me in and gave me the opportunity and gave me the mentorship that I then, for the second half of my career, needed. And kudos to, everyone needs a mentor, right? So at this point in my life, my mentors have been Tony and Reno, who've taught me leadership beyond measures. Didn't learn that from the past. But they gave me the opportunity and gave me the coaching and gave me the right structure to become successful. The only thing I needed to bring is my work ethic, which I already had. Everything else has been following Tony and Reno's path, which they've gone through. These guys have started this company from mortgage broker. They bought it from, I don't know, many of you know this, but two DJs, right? Julian Jumper Perez and Bad Boy Bill. So they created what it is today from what it was back then. And when you look at people like that, and you surround yourself with, they call themselves, when you talk to these guys, it's amazing. They're like, we're like cockroaches, man. We'll freaking figure out a way to survive, and as soon as turn off the lights, we'll come out. As soon as the lights come on, boom, we'll hide and we'll figure it out. And going through all the stuff that they've been through from 2008 to now what we're going through, and you see the changes, you don't ask questions. You realize, like, man, either you guys are really, really smart or really, really lucky. I don't think it's a coincidence, bro.
Right.
I know they're young, but they listen to the right people. And because they do, I was able to then use that and fuel me and learn. So it's a different phase of my life now. So I've always been the person like, listen, you soar with eagles, right? I soared with eagles at Wells. Now I'm soaring with eagles at Neighborhood Loans. And it's the people that you surround yourself that make you who you are. And I think that that's been one of my probably biggest secrets. It's as I know who to surround myself. I may not be the smartest guy in the room. I don't perpetrate to be. But I am really, really good at knowing who that smart person in the room is and identifying that. And we've built a team here in Chicago North with some really, really smart guys. And everyone has a role to play, and it's a matter of learning, exploring each individual's best talents. You're a great personality, Justin. You probably going to do great things. I've told you what your weaknesses are, and you've decided to learn from that, right? And you've done the things that you needed to do to make sure that you button up those deficiencies, right? And that's all it really takes. You have to be man enough to realize that you're not perfect at everything. And once you realize that you're not the best at everything, and you're willing to accept it, and you're willing to take constructive criticism and not get pissed and channel it, and taking people's advice and using that to become better, that's when you grow. Ego is the enemy. Another guy that I wouldn't call him a mentor, but a very good colleague. Maybe a small mentor. He's been through a lot. He gave me a book, Ego's the Enemy. One of the best reads I had. It's the best compliment someone can give you is a book. Because that's a way for you, for that person caring to make you better. I've realized as I gotten older, anytime I get a book, it's the biggest compliment that I can receive. I look at it as this guy's trying to make me better. And I owe them that respect to read it, right? So to me, I read that book, John DiGiulio, and it's true. I've met a lot of people in this industry that have big egos, and the greatest, one of the smartest people that I've met, and I'm like, why are they still in this industry, have gone backwards? Like these guys, I've known them to be 30, 40, 50, $60 million producers. Now I'm looking at, their production, they've gone backwards. They're trying to reinvent the wheel. They're trying to do different models and all this and all that. I'm looking at their numbers. I'm like, sometimes you gotta, they've been from lender to lender to lender, and I talk to them, and I'm looking at them. I'm like, you're not a right fit for our company. Your ego's too big. You think you're still, 5, 6 years ago,
Right.
and until they realize that they're not as good as, just because you've been in the industry for 20 years doesn't make you the best, right? I look at growth. If you consistently, you don't have to go from, if you consistently grow your business every year, even on challenging years, if you can consistently manage to at least remain the same or grow, especially in challenging years, that's where I respect people that have, keep to the grind. That's what guys like you that don't know any bad, you continue to do it. You put your head down every day and you come to work. There's certain people that, again, COVID allowed people to work from home and become a little more lax. I've said this before, the market made the phone ring. Now you have to make the phone ring. And a lot of people can't seem to understand that. They still have that comfort of being a loan officer. Oh, I can work from home. Those days are over, man.
Right.
If you can't find yourself to being out every day, you're going to become the next, you're not going to last in this business. It's just right now, it's when the filter is in, and a lot of people won't make it. It's just the fact. Unfortunately, it's the market we're in, and it's, I call it the purge. Every so often, you got to have a purge. Too many people got in the industry thinking that, it was a good living and we can do well. But they're realizing now that if they don't do the things, when rates are 6-7%, things are a little difficult. So if you don't like to do this kind of stuff and you don't like to, go out there and sell, you're not gonna last in this industry.
So then, at what point did you feel like you were ready to become a leader?
Good question, Justin. When I left Wells Fargo, I realized that I never wanted to give up production. So I seeked the lender that gave me the opportunity to still control production, which was my paycheck, but yet become a leader and be able to teach others what I know. And one of the hardest things I had to do for my company is recruit. And I didn't really get proper training on it. When I joined Neighborhood Loans, Tony and Reno, they were in that growth mode as well. But they didn't have a lot of training on it either. So we learned together. And they joined the core, which allowed them to learn from other leaders. We all and look at it. Everyone has there's no secret to the sauce. They join the core. They surround themselves with great leaders at the core, Rick Ruby and other owners of other big companies. So they surround themselves with equals, right? So that's how you grow, when you surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. So learn from them. But once I left Wells Fargo, I realized that producing was still the passion wasn't to be the top producer anymore. I wanted to be one of the things that fueled me was the lack of Latino leadership in our industry, and I made it a vow to become that, and that's why I chose to take that next step. And after breaking it down, after talking to several lenders, it came down to, you know, the companies that gave me the opportunity to grow with the same vision I had, and I made my choice with Neighborhood Loans, and it was the best decision I've ever made. These guys have allowed me to do the things that I visioned. As they grew, I grew, and it was cohesive. It was very organic. We shared the same vision, and even with the good times, the bad times, like now, is when your back is against the walls, when you see people's true colors, and that this is the time that, believe it or not, is when our growth is going to expand. Even though you might think that this is a bad time to grow, I mean, we're opening up another office. Who's going to open up an office in this market, right? We went from a lender that was known for LMI, MI. We were the lenders west of 94. Well, guess what? We can dabble with the big boys too now. So now we're east of 94. Now we're in Wilmette. Now we're doing the things that when I first started, it wasn't even a question whether Neighborhood Loans would even, consider dabbling in that market. And now things have changed. So now we're letting the market know that we can dabble in any market, right? We have the right leaders, we have the right vision, and with the right coaching, it's a matter of growing, and it's a matter of learning from the right people. And if I continue to learn from Tony and Reno, we'll continue to grow. I'm learning from you. Be honest, I don't have the vision of the young generation, but guys like you that are doing this kind of stuff, and outside of what you're learning from me as far as the old school way, you bring your own spin to it, right? You bring your social media, you bring your videos, you bring your certain, you've done things, we were making fun of you yesterday, right? And it's all in fun, it's doing the barbershops, doing the today's, the Cafecito giveaways. You have a niche. You found a way to, I can honestly say this, Justin, about you. You're having fun at what you do. You're loving what you do. And success is gonna organically come. When you do what you love, there's no recipe. You're gonna do it because you love to do it. When you do it because you have to do it, there's always gonna be limitations. If you continue to love what you do, and there's gonna be pitfalls on everything. I mean, we deals are gonna go up and down. I get it, and you know it. Mm-hmm. But if you continue to love what you do, and that's the industry, the sell, everything else, organically you're gonna grow, because you're gonna continue to do the things that people want to work with winners. And when you're happy, nobody wants to go to a party that's. Why does everybody want to go to a party? They can't even move because they're so crowded. Everybody wants to be around the happy people. It's organically as humans how we are, Mm-hmm. But if you continue to do this kind of stuff, I think it's just, there's no secret to the sauce. You got it. It's just a matter of you continue it. The hard part now is continue to do it day in and day out, because this industry can become very, very tough and disheartening, especially when you lose deals and you get deals denied. And that's when it becomes that's when you have to surround yourself with the right people to help you overcome those times. Because once it becomes a vacuum. One bad thing leads to another, and we can talk about how the gambling part, which we'll talk about. But we all need to be down in order to go up. We have to, because if you don't know what down is, you can't really motivate yourself to continue to push forward, because you don't know. You haven't hit that. You haven't known what it is to live paycheck to paycheck, my friend.
Well, I'll be honest with you, just based off what you said, I'm 100%. That's something that does scare me. I'm not gonna lie to you. That is something that scared me. I never really had to. I had the luxury of, when I got into the business, it was more so something that I didn't need a paycheck. I was living with my parents. I was doing this in college. I was in a college dorm writing loans in college, and it was the luxury of COVID that I didn't even have to meet people at that point in time, right?
I
But
remember.
a lot of the people that I did know, I knew the people that I was doing loans for. So it was like I already had the relationship established. Again, social media helped me with that a lot. But at the same time, that's something that mentally I kind of struggle with because I already know what you're saying. There's the ups and downs of life, right? And I haven't had many downs, especially in this industry. And I'm not trying to say that in any cocky way or anything like that, but I haven't had that feeling of like, oh shit, like this is a downtime. I'm paid again, paycheck to paycheck, mortgage, this, that, and that's where it spirals and people can spiral out of that. But I do think that sometimes I do think my mind almost in this point in time, again, like you said, I love what I do, so I don't feel like it's a job. So that's why I can wake up every single day and be happy with it. And I know there's going to get to some point where I'm going to kind of feel unfulfilled because it's something that I've done, let's just say for 10 years now. I'm like, all right, bro, there has to be something different outside of the things that I'm doing. But for the time being that I can speak for right now, the reason why I'm able to kind of continue to do things you're doing outside of just our company, I would not be half of where I'm at without our company. We have amazing leaders, you being one of them. I'll be honest with you, when I first started in the industry, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know. I knew how to get people to come and gravitate towards me. I knew how to do videos. I knew how to do this. I barely knew how to spell mortgage. I ain't even know what mortgage meant,
Do they know the story how you got into the business?
I don't.
Let me share this
Go
story
ahead,
with you.
go
So as many of you know, obviously Justin's my nephew, love him like a son, and my sister, those that don't know, my sister's my brother-in-law, who's one of my closest friends, CFO of a big firm in downtown Chicago, looked at me and said, "Hey, he was doing a internship for him." So my sister looked at him and obviously, he wants to follow into his CFO, he wants to follow into his father's footsteps, accounting in his major, so he did an intern for them, right? Okay, fast forward, he hated it. I didn't realize how good or how important internships were till this. So my sister called me. He's like, hey, bro, I need you mind if Justin interns for you? I'm looking at her like, intern for me? Like, sure, he's blood. Like, I don't care. But it's night and day, man. Hey, accounting, just because I'm in mortgages and numbers has nothing to do with accounting. And I say, sure, no problem. This is pre-COVID. So he comes in as an intern, and I told him, because these young kids don't know good movies. He's never seen Scarface. He's never seen Karate Kid. So I told him, oh yeah, that's the first thing you got to do is Karate Kid. You got to go see Karate Kid. He's like, what do you just look at it, and that's your first assignment. And the whole purpose was wax on, wax off. Don't ask any questions. That was the theme. That was my sole purpose of asking him to see that, so he can understand. You're interning. You're not going to ask any questions. Whatever I ask you to do, you do. And the movie was a symbol of why you don't ask questions, right? So he did it, no problem. Well, the first day he was there, we went to, after 20 years, majority of my job is to entertain and keep clients and loan officer retention, all that kind of stuff. So the first week he was there, we went to a Cub game. It was, mid-afternoon game. The second day we went to get sushi. The third day we went to get dinner. After the week was over, he's like, man, is this your job, Theo? I love this job. He had no idea all the years that I put in to get to this point, right? Loved it. And then, he did the whole summer. The following year, I put him in processing. He learned how to open. And then the following year, the third year, kind of was my wing. He became licensed. And I think he became licensed in like July or August, which he failed the test the first time. So just it's hard, but I gave him a real hard time. And he became licensed like in August, I remember. And he was with me, and he became, on the January 1st, he started doing deals. And I'm like, listen, man, you're a canary. I don't want to put you in a cage. I didn't want to have his production be a reflection of me. I wanted you to make your own name. And I opened some doors, and what you did with that is all you, bro. All you. But January 1st, you went on your own. I think your first year, you closed what, 13 million or something,
14.
which is unbelievable for a guy that's only been in the business, really. And this year he's going to be 22 million. So he almost doubled his business. So that's his story. So I like to say it's in his DNA, but I would honestly tell you that he did all the work. He did everything that we told him. He did everything that you were taught, and you learn it from ground level. And because of that, you're able to do the things that you're doing now, because you can appreciate submitting a good file. You can appreciate, because you were the guy that was opening the files. You know the crap that people were submitting back then. So you became a lot better at it, and with an idea that loan officers get all the glory, but your operations team take all the brunt of it, because everyone calls and you call them and give them a hard time and all that kind of stuff. But I think that doing it that way, you've learned, and you learn to appreciate their hard work, which has made you a lot better at your craft because of how you learned it.
Right. And I look at this business as my baby, right? And this is something that I kind of took pride in. When I first got into the business, it was one of those things where I didn't have something to like take really big pride in, because I think I went through stages of my life, right? So I went from college, baseball, basketball, like I was very sports orientated. So everything for me was like the glory and the gratification of just playing sports. And over time, once sports ended, I knew I wasn't going to go to MLB, but I didn't know what my next step was. And that's when I went to an accounting, and I was like, yo, is accounting the thing for me? And I quickly knew that shit was not for me. When I got into accounting, I literally was the guy that was in the office every single day, right? And I would work. But when I would be in the office, I would be working with my dad, and then I would go up to people, and I would be the one talking, having a conversation, trying to figure out whether or not these people were busy or whatever. I wasn't paying attention to the work. I just wanted to talk to people. So I wanted to find that fine line between accounting, because I love numbers, but also being the social aspect of everything. So when I first got into that business, that was kind of the middle ground that I was like, yo, when we're going to Cubs getting sushi, doing everything, I was like, yo, I love this industry. And it definitely was a perfect fit. But I think one thing that I've learned in this industry is our job is kind of like in a way a financial advisor, right? We look at people's financials on a daily basis, credit, income, assets, every single day. But I do think that when you're looking at people's financials, it makes you take part of a different perspective of life, right? It makes you have to look at life in a different aspect, in a way where how much money is enough and how much money will bring forth happiness. Because I've seen people who've made 50 grand in a year that are happy than a pig of shit. That they're happy every single day living the way that they're living, house, kids, whatever. They might even put everything in a 401k and they're happy living there. So what do you think a fine line for you, kind of seeing every avenue? Because for me personally, I'll be as straight up as you guys possible. My parents, they have sheltered me. Right. And I've seen a little bit of different avenues of everything. I grew up kind of Humboldt Park area, but my parents lived in Bolingbrook. So I lived kind of two lives. I went to grammar school and went to school and everything in Humboldt Park. And then I went to Gordon Tech and everything. So I went to school in the city, but I would commute to the burbs. Right. So I would go to school in the city, live with my grandparents, and then at night I'd sleep at my house in Bolingbrook. So I kind of saw every avenue on a daily basis growing up. But for you, do you feel like there's a specific amount of income that'll equate to happiness, or do you feel like it's something that...
It's a great, believe it or not, I learned this from a young guy, not recently, which I've been. It's something that I've agree with. He didn't teach. He kind of put it to light. It's a lifestyle, right? Work for a lifestyle. I've always been the person that I like to share my experiences with people, right? So, if I have I love cigars and tequila, which is, a good way to, get me to do this kind of stuff is, hey, you have a cigar. Hey, what can I say no? And tequila. I indulge in some good tequila, and I like to eat well as well. And sometimes I like to show that to people that haven't had the opportunity to indulge in a good steak or a good tequila, and I like to share my my good experiences with others. I don't know. It's hard to explain when you have a, a different feeling when you. It's better to I rather sometimes give that than actually. It makes me feel better to have someone share that experience than for me to share it over, right? So for me, is if I go and eat a good steak, I would like to eat it with people that I care about. Like, hey, look at this. This is a good steak. Look at this. It's a good tequila, and share those experiences with the people I care about. That's probably been one of my things that I love to do more than anything else. Is share my experiences and my what I've been able to indulge in and share with. I've been blessed. But I will tell you that it's a lifestyle, and I've learned that recently. It's not really a dollar amount; it's a lifestyle you want to live. And whether, to your point, you can be making $50,000 a year and be happy, or you can make, and I know people that make a lot of money, and they're not happy, divorced and this, that, it's just like things happen in life. You got to find what makes you happy. Money doesn't buy you happiness, For me, it buys you a lot of things, but for me, the money allows me to share my experiences. I rather go on a vacation with my family and rent a big house with and have my family there and really enjoy it than enjoying it by yourself. There's only a few things I like to do by myself, and only sporadically, but by nature, I like to surround myself with people, especially the people that I care about and love. But that's really what it is. It's a lifestyle. It's not really a dollar amount, because you can be happy making, like you said, making money, not necessarily buy you happiness. You got to find what makes you happy, and as you get older, different things make you happy. I would hate to take a job that makes me a national, whatever, and not home to see my kids play soccer or my daughter recite, or whatever it is that makes you happy at that point. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't give up my family and the ability for me to be there and see them grow for more money to get a bigger house, or just again,
Doesn't make sense.
great. It works for some people. You have to define what makes you happy.
Right. And I think this business, one thing I love about this business is you do have the reins to go out and, in a way, still have your time for yourself. I feel like you do have to work a lot in this business. It's not just, a lot of people think that they don't treat it like a 9 to 5, and that's what creates the downsale of a business, right? When you treat it like it's when you could work whenever you want, which we can, we're almost like self-employed. But if you don't treat it like a 9 to 5, that's where you're going to see a descale business. But I want to ask you, and I think this is one of the hardest parts about this business, and one of the things that, a lot of people don't see on the outside is detaching from the business. How hard is it, and how hard was that for you to learn just to detach from
honestly,
day-to-day?
that is very hard. Unfortunately, in this business, you can never detach. Even when you're on vacation, if you're passionate about your business and your clients and your referral partners, you're never going to detach. And that's something you have to accept. You can't go on vacation and just turn it off. It just doesn't work that way. You have to, I'm a firm believer your roots at home have to be stable. Your foundation has to be the number one thing you have to focus on. Your significant other needs to understand that this is part of your job. It's a lifestyle that they have to accept. And if they can't accept it, it's going to make your job that much more difficult, because now you have your significant other you have to please, your clients you have to please, your referral partners you have to please. And, one transaction, you got the buyer's agent, the seller's agent, the buyer's attorney, the seller's attorney, the borrower, and your operations, right? So you got 6 people that are constantly coming at you just with one transaction, a purchase transaction, right? So it makes it that's much more difficult, because it's very emotional. I've seen a lot of people get into arguments, and at the end of the day, they just want to close. But having the foundation is the most important thing of this industry and this
Foundation meaning
the
relationship
foundation,
or
everything. Like, so foundation meaning home, right? So you have to understand, your significant other needs to understand your job. And it's harder when they're not in the business. It's hard for them to understand events. It's hard for networking. It's hard for them that you have to pick up your call and certain, you can mitigate a lot of that stuff with a good team, which you have. But it's in your DNA not to just completely let go. I can already tell. I could call you when you're on vacation. You're probably going to pick up the phone. It's hard to just detach yourself, and that's something you have to accept. Your significant other needs to accept. Your family needs to accept. You can minimize it because you're on vacation, and you can tell your team that, hey, you're on vacation, and a good team like you have will mitigate probably 95% of your calls. But you can't completely disconnect. It's just impossible to. You care too much about it to completely disconnect. You'll probably check your emails. You probably, it's just organically you because you care about your business. Like you said, you're like self-employed. If you don't care about your business, no one else is going to care about your business more than you. So once you have that foundation set and you make sure that you do take your family's priority, it's hard for me to say it because I don't do it all the time, but I try not to take calls when I get in my house. If I do, it's limited. I could tell you I don't take calls during dinner. We're not brain surgeons. Like they can be without dinner takes me an hour. You have to have those boundaries. Like, okay, one thing I'm going to give the family is dinner. I won't pick up. Once you set those boundaries, and you call them right after, it makes it easier for you to navigate through those things, right? But you have to set boundaries. You can't just be running around. It's going to get a point in your life where it's going to be a problem, especially when family starts coming into play, kids and all that. You're young right now where you don't have those kind of responsibilities, but when you get to those, like, it becomes that much more difficult. And you just have to navigate through the storm. You have to put processes and procedures into place to make sure that when you get to that point, you don't bog yourself down with everything else that happens in life.
No, I agree. I agree. I think that is one of the biggest difficulties for me, is detaching. But I do think for all the young entrepreneurs that do want to own or start any business, or people that are like, yo, I don't want to work 9 to 5. I don't want to work the corporate world. I don't want to do these things. A lot of the times you're going to think that working outside of the 9 to 5 corporate world, that your life is going to get a lot easier. You're going to choose your schedule. You're going to do this. But actually, you're going to be working more than 9 to 5, because it's one thing to work 9 to 5 for your business. Whatever business that you're doing, you got to work 9 to 5 just to do the business. But outside of that, you still have to generate the business, because there's no business that's just going to automatically appear for you. So a lot of times you're going to see yourself not working just Monday to Friday. It's Monday to Sunday, because you got to have events. You got to do things to generate the business to come in, because it's not just going to come in. So that's something that I quickly realized when I got into it, that I want to be there for my referral partners. I want to be there for just everybody that does things. And honestly, when I first got into it, I want to make you proud. Like, that was something that I took pride in, like getting into the business is kind of making the people that I love proud. And it's just that self-fulfillment that, I built something. I built something from nothing. And obviously, with the help of everything, I think the company did very well. They do very well with people who kind of come from navigating from a business, not having really anything, and giving that guidance. And I think there's so many people that I've talked to that have been from another company that wasn't able to flourish because they didn't get the guidance. And I don't think that there's it's kind of similar to school. Like, I don't think that there's really schooling that's going to provide some sort of wisdom within the industry. It's not. You're not going to get some school, someone's going to tell you how a loan officer's life is going to be, but it is through your mentors. And I firmly believe that mentors are super important in the industry. You got to have a mentor. If you don't have a mentor, you better find one. Find one that you can relate to. Find somebody that you can relate to, so that way you yourself can excel in a business. Because if you don't have a mentor, it's going to be very difficult to navigate through storms. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but that's something that I learned really quickly, that if I didn't have you, if I didn't have Tony, if I didn't have Reno, I don't know where I would be. If I didn't have the people that were in my company, I don't think I'd be as successful as I don't think I know I wouldn't be as successful as I am right now.
Accountability, bro. Yeah, that's one thing that you have to take into effect. I mean, I will tell you, the two people that I'm hardest on is you and Delilah, right? And why? It's because obviously I have certain things that I expect from you. And those people that are coming new into the business, If I realize that they can accept criticism and are willing to accept accountability, take it upon myself to help them grow because they have what it takes to grow. I think I told you before, you were my project. Now you graduated. You were the Padawan. Now you're no longer the Padawan. Now you're lead. One of the top guys in my region, and now we have someone else that's coming up. So I see that in you, that you want to help and you want to show people. That's organically a leader in the making. The first thing you got to do to be a leader is care about everybody else than yourself. That's the first thing.
But at what point do you feel like that's a flaw or caring too much?
No, I think caring is caring about other people is not something that everyone has. Unfortunately, more people are very me, selfish, right? They want to see themselves grow before they see someone else grow, and that's not a common trait to have, actually. Once you have that trait, then it's easy for you to exploit that because inside you want to help. And once you have that, believe me, I'm a firm believer that once you help somebody else, life is a boomerang. Whether you believe in a higher power or whatever it is that you believes are, I believe that, karma. I believe that you help others, eventually it'll come back to you. And I've been blessed because of that. So I'm going to continue to do it, whether, we don't want to start getting into religion and anything else, but I will tell you that I do believe that if you help others, you will be helped as well. And sometimes you might feel like, man, why is this happening to me? But I do believe that you have to go through tough times to really appreciate good times. You haven't hit that, and I hope you don't. But I think that a lot of times when you look at the business and you look at what you've done and the people now that you're trying to help, it's something to be said about your personality, where you'll get to the point where you'll keep on helping, and maybe 10 years down the line, the torch will be passed. I don't plan on working forever, right? But if you have that and you continue to build people around yourself, organically, you're going to become the guy that people go to, right? You got a long way to go, but if you help people and you continue to do that, that respect comes organically, right? You don't demand respect. You earn it. You gain it. Why? Because you helped others. Eventually, those people are going to look at you and be like, hey, Justin helped me. Justin helped me go through this. He's the one that put me in line, and we do what was necessary, and the next project will be the next guy. And, we'll get to that point where I'm going to teach enough. And as the business evolves, as the market changes, we'll see who the true, the pretenders and the contenders are, right? And this will filter out a lot of people. This market will filter out a lot. But these are the times where, tough times don't last. Tough people do. And this times will make you better. And it's the not knowing that bad times, sometimes that is good. Because you don't know what the bad times are, right? For you, it's, okay, we're slow, boom, 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 boom. You'll continue to do what you're doing. And it's hard to teach someone that doesn't have that mindset. You have to have that mindset where nothing phases you if you want to be successful in this business. And unfortunately, a lot of my colleagues that have been in the business for a long time, whether it's ego, whether it's, I don't know what it is. I just wish, we have a great company. Like you said, we can make, I've talked to a lot of younger people that you've introduced me to and given them the opportunity to join our company and willing to give them the resources that I know they don't have, but they're clouded. One of the newer guys that joined us, he came from a company that he thought they were the mortgage gods. They were the best thing since sliced bread, right? And he came here like, oh, I don't know, man. I'm coming from the group of guys that are almost invented mortgages. And now he's looking back and like, man, these guys they're not as smart as I thought they were. And, again, I'm not bad-mouthing anyone. It's just, it's a different view of looking at the business. To your point, if you surround yourself with the right people, you have the right tools, you have the right leadership, you can succeed if you have the right work ethic, right? And sometimes this industry, unfortunately, is clouded by money. It's clouded by a vision that a lot of companies don't have. And I'm glad and I'm proud to say that Tony Reno share the same vision, and they don't cloud anybody's mind. They're straight up. This is what they wear their heart in their sleeves, and you're gonna get what you're gonna get with them. There's no, you know, lying. There's no, put the wool over my head, over my eyes, and there's none of that with them. You get what you get with them, and they're very loyal. They don't go back on their word, which is very rare in this industry, especially at that ownership level. A lot of guys don't put the horse before the carriage. You go to these bigger companies, they offer you this. A year later, they're changing that offer. It's very hard. A lot of times in this business, when times change, they become different because but the bottom line, honestly, is the bottom line. And this is a business. This is not a non-for-profit. But when you have owners that keep to their word, and they'll make the changes at a minimal necessary, but not to go back on their word to their salespeople. We're a sales-centric company, and I don't know any company that's better. I really don't. I've seen it. I've been around for a long time, Justin, and other companies might tell you the best things in sliced bread, and I can tell you it's temporary because the same people that tell you, just look at the companies they've jumped. I've been to two companies, Neighborhood Loans and Wells Fargo. Two. And most colleagues that have been in the business for 20 years, just go to Consumer and MLS and see how many companies people have normally been at. Shows you where sometimes it's not the company, it's the person. And the number one problem is the ego. That's the number one problem with most originators, that they have a big ego. They can't accept that they've been in the business for 20 years and yet they have no idea how truly to do business. The right company makes the world of a difference. To your point, makes a world of a difference. And is it a coincidence? I like to think not. I think a lot of it has to do with your work ethic, but a lot of it has to do with not just the people you surround yourself with, but the company you're working for allowed you to do the things that you're doing now. Other companies, I don't think you would have had that opportunity to do what you're doing now, which shows a lot, goes back to Tony Reno's philosophy. We're a sales-centric operation. Sales is the heart of a company. And when you give your salespeople the tools that they need to succeed, everything else will fall into place, which is happening for you.
No, yeah, for sure. And I would say that overall, I want to say everybody that's in sales, okay? I talk to the owners of my company. Tony Reno kind of give you back on what he's saying. They're the owners of our company. So anybody that wants to get into sales, you have to surround yourself with the right people in order for you to be successful. And it's kind of like those stories, the MJs of the world, Kobe's, LeBron's. They just, honestly, the story was already written. They were surrounded by the best of the best, and that's why they became great. And it's a mindset that you have to create within yourself, because if it's not from yourself, it's not going to be genuine, and you're not going to be able to achieve the things that you want to achieve. So you have to create that mindset. And I just want to finish off by saying, Dwight, thank you so much for coming today. My uncle, my second father, I appreciate everything. I would not be here without you. So I owe you my happiness and my career and everything. So for everybody that's looking out, this is a ball of wisdom right here. So just watch it. Make sure that you indulge in this, because it's really good and it's going to help you excel in your career as well. If you are looking to get into mortgage industry, car sales, any sales, this is going to help you grow for yourself. So thank you guys for watching again. I really do appreciate it. Like, subscribe. Hope you guys have a great day. Take care.